Hello everyone. After our previous learning sessions, we have gained a fundamental understanding of video editing. In order to enhance our work efficiency, let's delve into other editing techniques. We'll be looking at these common methods from 4 different perspectives. First, setting in and out points. Second, editing material. Third, dealing with offline files. And fourth, insert and overlay editing. In the first part, we'll be discussing how to set in and out points. These points are mainly used to mark material, helping us selectively access portions within the starting and ending times of usable content. The process of setting in and out points, it must be done within the source panel of the material. So, before we start, we need to add the material from the project to the source panel. Let's move to the second part, editing material. Editing material is one of the most powerful features of Premiere software. It enables us to systematically edit and recognize video material, creating a complete film with a fresh perspective and visuals. In this section, we'll explore 2 methods, 3-point editing and 4-point editing, along with direct editing on the timeline. The third part will address offline files. These are essentially material files that are currently unavailable within the project. This usually happens when the referenced material has been deleted or moved. When there is an offline file in the project, you will see information about the file. If you select in either the material source panel or the program panel. In the fourth part, we'll delve into insert and overlay editing. We can carry out various editing operations within this panel. We have already imported this material into the project window. It's now in this part. As material, there are 2 sections in the upper part of the screen. The one above is known as the Language Material Box. Language Material Box. Here we have Program Sequence 1, which is essentially the composition window. This area deals with our language video window, consisting of one section for original data and another for composite data. When we double-click on the piece of material, it will automatically slot into the language material box. Inside this section, we can hit the play button to preview the material. This particular material was shot in the Huayang area of Shuangliu district. It's already been edited, including sound, interviews, and various bits of text content. Moving along, you see a row of tool buttons. These tools are located within the original window. We have the Add Marker button, followed by the In Point and Out Point buttons. Remember that I is for the in point and O is for the out point. Easy to remember. These allows us to mark the start and end of the desired segment. For instance, this is the material that we need to edit. When we play it, we might spot some places needed to be edited. Right, move on. Clicking on In takes us to the in point. Here, click on O. This is what I plan to edit, so I showed you how to define the in point and out point of the video. Move on. What does this mean? Return to in point. Return. Click this, we could return back. This allows us to step back one frame. It enables us to rewind frame by frame. This is to play it. This is to rewind frame by frame. It is useful when we need to do precise editing. This is to go to the out point. See, press Shift and O. Similarly, Shift and I takes us to the in point. Now, what does this mean? It is to insert and this is to overlay. This is to export frame. Enable us to export a single frame as an image. If I define the timeline to the first frame, we could drag it using the mouse. Now let's insert the content. This clip could be seen in the timeline. Press the space button. This is how we set in point and out point. Let's move on. When we press the spacebar, we can see the outcome of using the marked in and out points. Now suppose I press I here. Followed by O. I found another sentence. Choose here. In the original video, click Insert. At this moment, we select to insert the middle of the video we had before. You see that it cuts the previous material and inserts it, isn't it? So this might not be what we want, but I'll tell you, it's called an insert. The icon represents it well. It's like slotting it in the middle of the timeline marker. So if I don't want it to be inserted, what should I do? Don't disrupt it. Look, for example, I'll put it here. Alright, in this gap, I'll slot it. I can press the plus key on the keyboard to zoom in on the timeline. Then you can see each word. The height of the character's audio track like up to this point. Then we click Overlay here. Just a click, and we press the minus key to shrink it. You see, the previous part wasn't slotted in, right? And the later part has been automatically muted. It's gone. So these are the buttons we first encounter in the software. Exporting as an image is quite easy to understand. For example, if we find this image useful, it's a certificate. We can click to export as a frame, right? Then it asks about the format. You can change it to JPG, PNG, or other default DPX. Then the name and click OK. If you need to import it into the project, just check that box and click OK. For instance, I'll put it on the desktop. See? So we drag it a bit. Then drag it into our material window, and the material comes back. This is convenient for our use. Dragging it here, let's do the composition. If you want to make it smaller, right? Select it, find the effects controls, then find the scale value, reduce the scale value. This position, the first number is for the x-axis, the second number is for the y-axis. You can move it left, move it up, see? This is the simplest composition effect. And here we used V1 earlier. So what are these A1, A2, A3 below? They represent audio, sound, and video. So it means video and sound. For instance, with the material we just used, we can choose to keep its sound or not. For example, right now I only want the video. I'll click it. Only video. only audio, it means there's audio it can be observed this way. This is our original video window we used. By default, the video and audio are linked together. If you don't want audio, you can right-click and unlink it. Then select the audio part below. Press the delete key to remove it. Got it? These are the common basic operations. Alright, let's summarize the knowledge from today. First, an introduction to various options and panels used for editing video materials. Second, creating new elements, applying clip materials and multiple sequences, and so on. Third, 3-point editing, 4-point editing, important methods for clip materials. The important tools are the selection tool, trimming tool, copying tool, scaling tool, and text tool. Alright folks, that brings us to the end of today's class. Keep practicing.